Chat, I can't watch this first.
Received a lot of spam calls. That sounds something like this.
This is Amazon.com. You have been charged $379.
Now behind this harmless sounding call is a
dude.
$20 billion scam industry, and today we're gonna roll over that log and see what crawls out. Because for the past 5 months, with the help of my trusty Glitterbomb, which I typically just reserve for porch pirates, I've worked my way up every rung of the slimy chain of command
20
involved
billion,
in this
dude.
scam. This journey—
Chat, I'm gonna get the food that says hold up. Let me go pick it up. What happened to chat? What happened?
journey is going to take us around the world and through 5 states. It involves homeland security, stakeouts with PIs, and of course glitter bombs, and the scammers trying to hopelessly rid themselves of sparkly evidence before getting arrested. I'm going to show you exactly how they make so much money off these calls. So buckle up, because it gets wild. Now all this started for me when I was working on Glitterbomb 3.0 this past November, and I kept getting those annoying calls, so I thought maybe to return the favor, I could send them my harmless box that shoots out glitter and fart spray when you remove the lid. Now my buddy Jim Browning has a YouTube channel where he's able to reverse the connection to the scammer's computer and then thwart them in real time as they try and scan someone else. My idea was to have a legitimate victim agree to send the money, but then we'd work with them to actually send a glitter bomb instead. So Jim checked all the scammer computers he was currently monitoring, and it just so happened a woman named Tracy was being scammed for $12,500 at that very moment. So
Dude, he fully rats them out, dude.
woman named Tracy was being scammed for $12,500 at that very moment. So he immediately tried reaching out to her and eventually got through.
Hello.
Hello, Tracy. This is Jim Browning here again. I'm calling you. Hopefully you've got my voicemail.
Here's what happened.
Now listen carefully to what Tracy's about to say here, and hold your judgment about how could anyone ever send $12,000 in the mail until I explain how the scam works in a minute. Because I hate to give these guys credit, but it's pretty clever.
They were supposed to give me a refund of $300, and when I put it in the computer, I mistyped it as $13,000. So I had to send money back to them, $12,500, and that's where I am.
Right. I'm hoping you haven't sent that money.
I have sent it.
Oh no, right. I hate to break this to you, but this whole thing is a scam.
What do I do now? Because
I'll tell you what to do, Tracy. You leave this to me and Jim. The first thing we did was look up the address they told her to ship the money to, and given there were 6 cameras outside, this clearly was some kind of safe house for the scammers. We then had Tracy call FedEx to cancel the package, but just in case, we hired 2 PIs to be on the scene that day to intercept it. And we knew we shouldn't do that right in front of the house because they'd probably be watching, but since we weren't sure which direction the FedEx truck would come from, we overnight shipped a package to a bunch of their neighbors that explained they were randomly selected to win one of these super cool Glitterbomb t-shirts. And if you wanted to buy one of these from markrover.com to help support making more videos like this, I'm certainly not going to stop you. This would allow us to speak to the delivery driver somewhere up the street to get the package stopped in time. And the plan worked flawlessly. Because despite Tracy's efforts to get it stopped, her package was in fact out on the truck for delivery.
Tracy something, yeah, that's the one. Don't deliver this one, please. Okay. This is the fraudulent one. If that one's going, that's also going to 1731? Okay.
But in a wild twist, there was a second package going to the same location addressed to the same fake name. Her name was Phyllis, and we later found out her package contained even more cash than Tracy's.
Okay, so that one's going back, right? And then
Definitely, yeah, that's done.
And FedEx was cool enough to eventually return the packages, so both Tracy and Phyllis got all their money back. And when the scammers angrily called Tracy back asking why the package didn't arrive, she explained she accidentally selected 2-day shipping instead of next day air, so they would get the package tomorrow. And that's where he switched from defense to a very light offense. And so the next day, we delivered the package in an official looking vest.
Have a good holiday. Thank you.
And waited for the sweet retribution.
Hello. You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
But for the first time in 3 years of glitterbombing criminals, someone didn't immediately throw the box outside, and he just sat there with the wretched smell, leaving the box untouched. And then as we waited, wondering what his game plan was going to be, suddenly a bunch of NYPD officers started showing up, and it didn't take them long to figure things out.
It's a glitter bomb. It has a camera built into it. There's a camera built into this.
We had a phone number on the box, and they called us up, and I explained the whole situation, and I'll just say there was some mutual admiration for each other's work.
Cameras in this thing as well? Because this is a hell of a 3D printed little thing you got here.
I mean, there might be cameras on there, officer. And as it happens, the reason a scammer would call the cops on himself is because he isn't a scammer. This is Gary, and it turns out he's a super nice guy. But Gary runs an Airbnb, and once you go in that door, there are 2 rooms upstairs that he rents out to people. So this wasn't a safe house at all. These scammers would use Airbnb to get a temporary address they would only use once. But if that's true, that meant the scammers must have been there yesterday. So Gary showed us his security footage, and we saw this woman in an orange jacket who appeared right as the PI was talking with the FedEx driver up the street. She also looks directly at the camera and then decides it's probably cold enough outside to zip her jacket all the way up. Once the FedEx truck passes and she realizes he skipped by her, she hurries over to talk to him, and when he told her he had nothing for her for that day, she walks right back to her car, never stepping foot inside the Airbnb. The PI's got all the license plates on the street that day, and it turns out her name is Crystal. You should remember that name for later. So then Gary showed us who booked the room. It was this guy from Utah with a brand new account and 0 reviews. In fact, when the reservation was booked, he sent this message in awkward English at 3:06 a.m., which happens to be just after lunch in India. So I did some more research and learned that after the scammer in India found a willing victim, they would use a money mule and have the victim send the cash there. So Crystal in this case was the mule. But instead of sending the package to the money mule's house, they use an Airbnb. Then the mule gives the package to a supervisor who deposits the cash and wire transfers the remaining money back to the scammer. And they must have got spooked because Crystal was long gone the next day, which meant we caught poor Gary in the crossfire. But he wanted them caught just as much as us, so we compensated him handsomely just for being cool about everything. So we'll call that round a tie. We stopped the scammers from receiving 2 packages containing $30,000, but they were still glitter-free. But before I show you exactly how we tip the scales in our favor, let me explain exactly how this scam works so well at tricking so many people. There's an email that goes along with the scam that basically says the same thing as the robocall, which is Amazon just charged you $200, but if you don't recognize this charge, please call right away to have it refunded. So when you call, they say, I'd be happy to walk you through the refund process on your computer. So just type this here and simply install this, and then I'll be able to fully help you out. And most victims don't really comprehend. They've just installed a remote software program that gives the scammers full access to their computer. Now they're ready for the scam. They tell her that some accounts have actually already had their refunds automatically processed, so she needs to check her bank account to make sure the $200 refund isn't already there. And when Bessie here asks if he can see her banking info, he explains in technical terms,
it's a 3D page, so I cannot see anything.
Okay.
And so sure enough, she hasn't got the refund yet, so he needs just about 5 minutes to work with his
Chat, what's a 3D page? I don't know what that is.
billing department in order to process it. But first, he makes a really big deal about this.
I'm signing out from your account in front of your own eyes.
And this is true. He actually does sign out. At which point he triggers her screen to go black so she can't see anything that he's doing. And then he immediately logs back in using the browser pre-stored username and password. He's going to do a simple browser HTML edit on this page to temporarily make this Lowe's purchase look like a refund for $20,000, and you'll see why in a minute. And as he's editing away, he chats her up to try and build trust.
You're like my granny, Miss Bessie. Do you know this?
Yes.
She was like one of my closest friends.
Oh.
I used to share each and everything with her.
You mean like
That
what
is
you do for a
weird.
living? And you might be wondering, why doesn't he just wire transfer himself money while he has unrestricted access to her account? But the problem there is that it's
Wait, that is
traceable
so
and it would likely
weird.
get flagged by the bank's fraud detection system anyways. But if you can get an old lady to mail you cash, it's so untraceable, the authorities don't even begin to try and track it down. Now that he's finished, he unblinks her screen and he informs her that unfortunately, the billing department couldn't process the refund, so they have one last option to try.
This is the Chase online refund server.
It's actually just a text window that does absolutely nothing. It's pure theater.
It is an irreversible form. Whatever you are typing it over there, put it in a correct manner. Nothing would be changed over here.
Basically, he makes a big deal for 3 minutes that she's the one that has to enter all the information, and anything that gets typed there is immediately permanent. Maybe you can see where this is headed. So her name, last four of social, zip code, and finally refund amount.
Please enter your refund amount.
If you go back, you can actually hear him type the 2 extra zeros on his keyboard and hit enter.
Check everything. Is it correct?
Oh no, this is a mistake. Oh, I screwed up.
Oh, Jesus.
It was supposed to be a 200 in there. Oh, God Almighty! I'm exhausted. I can't do this. My mind is absolutely fried.
Please check your account. Did you really receive that money in your account? Oh my God! Plus 20,000.
Yeah.
Please save my job, ma'am. If I'll not earn for my family will die due to hunger, due to starvation.
Yes, of course. I mean, what should I do? I mean, I can.
Bad for you. You are
what is wrong with this guy?
You know, I'm an honest person.
You're making me cry now. I'm getting
what
attached.
Is wrong with these
How
people?
do I fix this?
He tells her that unfortunately mailing a check or wiring money would just take too long, so he needs to think for a minute.
Dude,
and then he comes back
these
with
are like scam lands, dude. Dude, look at the whole squad.
Mailing a check or wiring money would just take too long, so he needs to think for a minute. And then he comes back with this.
Hello, Miss Bessie?
Yes.
I got an option.
And you can see now how he's got her to the point where she's totally willing to send $20,000 in the mail and to lie to the folks at the bank or FedEx or even her family who might try and stop it. In her mind, she messed up. And because she's a good, empathetic person, she'll go through great lengths to make it right for someone she doesn't realize is a heartless scammer. And on top of weaponizing their empathy, maintaining pressure on their victim is a key tactic. They keep them on the phone the whole time, even as they drive to the bank, or they yell at them.
Go to the UPS. Why don't you go to the UPS?
Or call this many times in a row. And if you've ever seen this clip,
Name a woman.
Name a woman?
Yes.
You already know when you're under extreme stress, it's an actual biological response for the part of our brain that does critical thinking to just shut down.
Yes, this is so hard.
Name a woman.
Once they're back from the bank with the cash, they coach them through packing it. In Tracy's case, they had her put $100 bills in the pages of a book so it couldn't be detected in the mail. In other cases, they have the victims wrap the cash in saran wrap so the dogs can't sniff it, and then foil so it can't be x-rayed. And unfortunately, there's a small portion of the population that are just too trusting for their own good. And sadly, it's nearly always older folks. So for the scammers, it's just a game of percentages to find them. According to data Jim has gathered from the scammers' own computers, in one shift, a call center like this with about 25 employees will send
This is not just weird, this is like kind of sad, dude.
out 500,000 robocalls. They'll get about 500 calls back and land maybe 5 to 10 victims like Bessie or Tracy or Phyllis.
Dude, they make them feel like distressed and like sad.
And speaking of Phyllis,
weird.
after we got FedEx to send back her package, I was able to get in touch with her son, and I found out her husband of 40 years had passed away the very week she was being scammed of her life savings. The scammers knew she was mourning this loss, but once you're scammed, your phone number is really valuable because it means you're an easy mark. So they sold her info to other scammers, and she was scammed twice more the same week her husband died. And as hard as it was for me to even hear a backstory like that, it just made me that much more motivated to seek some Glitterbomb retribution for all the Phyllises out there, and perhaps in the process, we might stumble upon some good information that we could pass on to the authorities. So now we needed another scammer to send a Glitterbomb to, but we decided when Jim spots a scam in progress, it's better for him just to stop it cold and not stress out the victim any more than they already are. So we reached out to our friend Pierogi from the YouTube channel Scammer Payback, because whenever Pierogi gets a scam call to his actual phone, he turns on his cameras, makes his voice sound like an old lady, and has some fun.
They will ask you in your bank like why you are withdrawing this much of cash. So what you gonna tell them?
I'm getting it for Derek Wilson from Microsoft.
No, ma'am, no. You need to tell them that you are withdrawing the cash for your personal reason. And
it didn't take long for fake victim, old woman Pierogi, to get us an address in New Jersey.
Is this where I'm sending it to?
Right. Grab the box, right? So you can put the cash.
Yeah, I've already got a box. That's big enough.
This one was actually to a hotel and not an Airbnb. But as soon as we pulled up, once again, a money mule was out there waiting for us.
For Jacqueline? Hey, this is on here. You too, have a good day.
So they took the package and drove around for a couple of hours, and when it was clear they weren't going to open it, we made the call just to get the box back before the batteries died, and then maybe the box audio recording might help us piece together more info on the scam.
You guys picked up a box from FedEx today, part of a scam?
I didn't have no scam going on today.
Oh, really?
No.
Let's see the box.
I just was told
I understand.
by somebody to pick this up for them.
I understand.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm being honestly and truthfully, and I don't want no trouble.
And when I first heard that, I was like, oh, well, now I feel bad. Sometimes these mules don't even realize they're participating in scams, and they might even be victims themselves. But then I was like, look, not that I don't believe her, but maybe just in case, we just have a little peek at the audio.
I'm waiting on so many packages. I don't even know which one is which anymore.
Then she got on the phone with her boss, James.
So funny, dude.
I know, I got one with me right now. I took the picture and sent it to you. I'm gonna bring it to y'all. That's what I'm saying. He said that I was done for the day. What I gotta be at tomorrow? You said that we was working out here in New Jersey. I don't know, wherever they give me an address that they don't even have the B&B addresses or nothing for tomorrow. This is the first time they split me and Crystal up like this in New Jersey.
That's right, Crystal. Apparently they're a team, which means Jacqueline was probably in the car the other day in New York.
Any other time she in the car watching. She don't do shit.
By the way, Crystal, hate to say it, but Jacqueline was talking a lot of trash about you. In fact, I'd watch your back, because her cousin in the car that day might be gunning for your job.
I want to be a driver. How much do they get paid? How much you get for that one parcel?
$500. Everybody gets paid the same. So
She wants the whole money for herself, dude.
Partials, and it's $75 or $100 for each partial. Everybody's getting $700. You're gonna be back and forth. You're gonna be either in Florida, Delaware, Maryland. You're gonna be here, there. So you'll be looking like you on vacation, having the time of your life. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm being honestly and truthfully.
We learned two key things here. The first is that a supervisor will have multiple mules reporting to them who apparently get flown all over the country, and just one mule could receive as many as 7 packages in a day. And the second is that this address was from a totally different call center in India. So
these motherfuckers are rolling so hard. They have multiple people flying over the place and a bunch of packages a day per person, full of like 12K a box or something.
A day. And the second is that this address was from a totally different call center in India.
That's
same
like 200K a
supervisor
day.
can work with multiple unrelated scammers as well. And so in the spirit of avenging Phyllis, if we were going to glitter bomb and fart spray anyone here in the States, we really wanted it to be a supervisor. And thanks to Pierogi, not long after, we would get another chance.
Get the $50,000 in cash with you, get in your car. Once you're in your car, let me know. Make sure you don't involve any third person, nobody.
So I don't need to tell my husband?
Your husband, your daughters, anyone.
This one would be in Illinois. And the delivery address this time was to a Walgreens. It was interesting to see them experimenting with different package drop-off methods. And right away, we heard some good news.
Meet me at the gas station then. Yeah, I see you. Come park in front of me. In the black one.
The Walgreens was here, and the handoff occurred here at this gas station.
Chat. Every time I watch this, I was to myself, dude, who would fall for this? Get 50K in cash, tell nobody, get in the car, put in the mail. Like, who would fall for this? But they do.
And with that, we had our supervisor. They tailed the supervisor for a few minutes and got a good look at his 2019 white Honda Passport. And then 20 minutes later, he stopped here in a seemingly random parking lot.
You guys say you, dude? Motherfuckers, you guys are subs here, dude. You get absolutely nothing. Dude, I scam you guys every day, dude.
And opened it.
Hello!
And even though he kept it by his feet, the camera's got a perfect shot of his face here. And the PIs assessed the situation and felt safe enough to approach him right after he opened it, but then he took off. And they let him go, and we just used the GPS and the glitter bombs to once again locate it in the ditch snow. And right after that, Pierogi got this message from the scammer in India, which shows two things. The supervisor and scammer are in close contact with each other, and neither one likes glitter. And that seemed like the end of the story, until we ran the plates and realized his name was tied to a business really close to where he opened the box.
Still doesn't get
so
it.
we went back a week later to get footage to show just how close. Here's where he opened it. You can see that dumpster and house for reference, and then you pan over, and that's the business his name is tied to. And wait a second, that's a 2019 Honda Passport. And wait another second, that's the same guy whose face is on camera opening the glitter bomb. So this was a nice little package of intel we were able to hand off to the authorities, because the supervisor is sort of the hub and a direct connection between a bunch of mules in the States and a bunch of scammers in India. Pierogi came through with what?
Guys, I had to make an RP joke, but this literally looks like an RP. Well, the guy that you signed for crime? It looks exactly like it.
Intel we were able to hand off to the authorities because the supervisor is sort of the hub and a direct connection between a bunch of mules in the States and a bunch of scammers in India. Pierogi came through with one final address in Texas, and this one was back to the MO of being delivered to an Airbnb. And like all the others, the mule was right there waiting for us, and then she took it inside to open it.
Hello. You guys give up or you're thirsty for more?
Notice how she films herself opening the package. Apparently this is pretty common because I suppose there's no honor among thieves and the scammers will demand the video to confirm she hasn't taken more than she's allowed. As we learned before, the money mules make a flat amount per package, like $100, but I ended up reading somewhere that the supervisor gets a 10% cut and sends the rest back to the scammers. This lady later admitted she herself was exchanging the cash for Bitcoin to send back to the scammers, which meant she was actually a supervisor, and for the sake of Phyllis, that was a lovely surprise.
Here's the package, maybe emotion as well.
Jeez.
She took off and parked about a mile away, but the police were alerted and were on her tail pretty quickly.
You have your ID on you?
Oh, yeah. I cannot park here.
I love that attempt at just getting away with the parking warning. So she gets out of the car, and I have to applaud the effort here, but as every parent knows, the only way she's getting rid of the evidence from her pants and car is by burning them both to the ground.
What you got all the glitter on your pants for?
Yeah, so I just... lawyer because I'm in the Homeland Probation officer. I don't know what's happened. Okay. So I want to contact with someone.
Probation.
And so after she was taken into custody, the police returned to the Airbnb to gather evidence. The dude on the left there is a detective, and they already had her under investigation for another package scam. So now they're bringing charges against her, and the actual Glitterbomb and footage is being held as evidence in the case. We did one more in Illinois and two more in California, but I've decided against showing those because those scammers are being monitored as part of ongoing investigations. In fact, over the past 4 months, Jim, Pierogi, and I have been in contact with investigators from the respective local police departments, the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and the FBI. And we've turned over to them every last bit of evidence we've stumbled upon. So hopefully, like me, you now have a better understanding of how these scam calls operate, and here's why that matters. The authorities are cracking down more on these guys, both here in the States and in India, but it's sort of a game of whack-a-mole, and another one will just pop up because the financial incentives are so great. The only way to truly defeat this is by spreading awareness, thereby making it ineffective. So if you have someone in your life who's older that means a lot to you, please educate them or even share this video with them. I put some resources in the video description if you've been exposed to fraud, but all the experts agree it's much better to not be reactive here, but proactive by spreading awareness and understanding what this looks like. And speaking of being proactive, I will close with some good news, which is that thanks to Jim, who explains how he did it in a video he just released on his channel, we have the identifying information of the folks over in India who scammed our girl Phyllis. And by the way, everyone in India hates these guys too. And so over the next year, of course, working with the proper authorities, we'll be executing a multi-phased operation that will be, as always, relatively...
I wonder if there's like a solution behind like the legitimacy of certain calls, whatever. Like, I know some, like maybe some phone numbers or whatever, but you know when somebody's like verified on Twitter, right? You know for a fact it's not somebody else because they're verified. When we go down to the bank, you always have to make like weird verifications or whatever that are all like arbitrary, just kind of whatever. It's actually kind of hard to figure it out.
Harmless. And I don't want to give too much away, but we already have some informants working for us in some of these call centers, and the first phase might include a door handle and actual poop from Phyllis's actual dog. So make sure you're subscribed, because it's gonna be a banger. You could set your plant on this box, and it has some electronics inside to measure the soil moisture level, and then talk to you when you walk by.
I need a little water over here. That's delicious.
There you go, I meant Brian.
And this machine measures how long it's been since you stood up, and employs the kid sitting behind you on a long flight method to encourage a stretch break. This is a game to motivate exercise during lockdown, and this is a secret safe for your most valuable possessions. And finally, this is a G-dang Lunchables assembly line. Are you kidding me? And what do all of those have in common? They were created by people who took my month-long creative engineering course. I just launched this class for the first time a few months ago, and it was so freaking rewarding to see what everybody learned and created as a result. For the most part. And because we got so much overwhelmingly positive feedback on the course, we're doing it again. You could sign up for it now. This class covers my full engineering design process, all the way from how I come up with an idea, to prototyping, to finalizing the build and giving it character. I show you everything that I'm thinking, everything that I'm doing, and I do it 3 times. Over the course of a month, you're gonna watch me design and create 3 totally original builds, and I'm gonna guide you through finishing 3 creative builds of your own. And this is an online class, so you can take it from anywhere and work it around your schedule, but it's fully immersive and intensive. So whether you're a working professional or you're taking the class as a family, whether you're a complete beginner or an experienced engineer, this class is designed to meet you where you're at
literally
and then
give up
level
in
up
like
your
20
skills.
minutes.
So go to monthly.com/MarkRober or use the link in the video description to see what other people had to say about their experience, and then enroll, and I'll see you in class.
That was cool though, dude. I enjoyed that a lot.